Hey, horror fans, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, and you are listening to the Sit and Slash Horror Movie Podcast. Hit the follow button if you love horror movie content. Jason never dies.
You are listening to the Sit and Slash Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome to the Sit and Slash Horror Movie Podcast, where four guys talk about who lives and who dies, in horror movies, of course. And today is the first episode of the Guys Tapes. Now, if you don't know where we got that name from, back in Friday the 13th, the game, you had the Tommy tapes and you had the Pamela tapes. We're going to have the Guys Tapes, except it's going to be the Guys Takes, because this is an episode of hot takes in the horror movie world. And since we're talking about who lives and who dies, it's going to be my turn to die, because it is my hot takes time. So basically how we're going to make this work is I have 3 hot takes today, listing them from least hot to most hot, and we're just going to go one by one and see if the guys agree with me or if they think I should die.
The council will decide your fate.
Okay.
Yep.
But before we get started, like always, please, if you like this episode or any episodes before this, aka only one, it would be great if you could drop us a follow here or wherever you're listening, whether it be Spotify or YouTube. You could also head over to our Instagram page at sit/HMP, and we would greatly appreciate it, where you get to see any updates or any content that's being posted. So, without further ado, time for take one. Take one for me is the original Halloween is not the best Halloween movie.
Yes!
Thank God, dude.
Proceed.
Oh,
Proceed.
Dan-
Come on.
Dan- So, in my opinion, Halloween 2018, and maybe it's a bias because it was the first horror movie that I got to see in theaters, is the best Halloween movie. And I don't get me wrong, I love the original. I think the original is great. However, there are some big things with the original that I really don't like. I don't like that you get a small chance, even if it's a little bit, to see his face. I think there are times where, it's the 80s and 90s, the acting's not great. And I just think 2018 provided such a psychological thriller for viewers of the movie. And I just think that it's the best Halloween movie and one of my favorite, if not my favorite, scary movie of all time. So we're not going to talk about what happened after those movies, but yeah, I think Halloween 2018 is better than the original.
Can I go first since I agree with him?
Sure.
Okay. I agree with you. I think 2018 is also the best Halloween movie. I did kind of go back and forth because I tried to convince myself that the original surely is better. And I know to most people it is better and is like the most iconic slasher movie of all time. I understand and I respect it. I almost respect the impact it made rather than enjoy the movie itself. I think that 2018 is just like a better, scarier, like more like better just plot overall. I like the movie more for sure. I know spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. I know people aren't a fan of the twists with what's the doctor's name again?
Sartain.
Sartain, thank you. I know people aren't a fan of that. I can overlook it for how good the rest of the movie is, and I also really appreciate it. It's not like, okay, I'll say this. It's not like I love this movie as much as Cullen probably does, but for me, I just think it's a more interesting version almost of the original Halloween. And I don't know. I respect it a lot. I love it. It again, like Cullen said, we don't talk about what happened after that. What happened after that was horrible. Also, to comment on something Cullen said, you said you don't like to see his face in that movie. Cullen, have you seen the Rob Zombie Halloween movies?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you know about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Alrighty, cool.
Right.
Someone else can
Yeah.
go.
All right.
Before, hold on, wait. Because this is my take, so I can defend it.
Okay.
My thing with this is it is nearly the most perfect psychological slasher movie in history. It is nearly the most perfect. Yeah, the Dr. Sartain thing is a little strange, and I don't even dislike that as much. I think it makes sense that he wouldn't just be friends with the doctor. And I get it, it's more like, oh, the doctor killed somebody, he wanted to know. And I don't know, I like the idea that the evil spreads. And this is coming from someone who's a therapist. So, you know, and
This guy wants to see evil spread.
oh no, he does not. But my point being is that this movie takes all of the good that Michael is and amplifies it to 10. And you know, the kills are great. The characters and acting is fantastic. And it all happening, and you get Jamie Lee Curtis, you get the original Michael Myers, you get all these cool characters that come back, and they're very flushed out. I don't think there's a character in that movie that's not really flushed out very well. Um, Luke is very much disagreeing with my statements
Oh.
right now.
Oh, hold on.
But this will be my last defense, and then you can see what the others have to say, even though they're wrong. But I don't flip me off. I know you guys can't see it, but Luke just flipped me off. But anyways, I think that the look of Michael Myers in this movie is the best look out of the entire franchise.
Okay, I can
I
agree
think
on that.
I think that the kills are the best kills of the franchise. And I think overall his fight to be this, like, go back to his house, he's back, he's escaped, and like the overall terror that sweeps through the town because of that is the best part of the movie.
Also, I think we can all agree that James Jude Courtney is the best Michael Myers.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can agree with that too.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
I will, I guess, go next for my opinion on this take, in that I can see it. I don't personally agree with it. I've since come around. I actually used to have this take before I came back around to the original, but I can see why. Because the 2018 movie is definitely tense. It is very tense. I remember the first time we watched it, I actually had to pause the movie because it was so tense and I was not used to the intensity of the horror movie at the time. And I think I paused during the house clearing scene that was in the movie. So, yes. And James G. Courtney is probably the best Michael Myers actor, in my opinion. He just does such a good job with the character and how he portrays it, how he goes about it. So there's a lot of good things going for this movie, and I think it's probably my second favorite movie in the franchise still. It's near perfect. There's just a few issues. Funnily enough, Sartain, most people complain about Sartain being just strange, I guess. Not very well fleshed out, not of good motivation. I can see it. Yeah, I can kind of agree with it, but I mean, it's only one scene in the movie for the most part. It only comes to head, and then even then, we all know what happened to Dr. Sartain then and there, so that's kept relatively short. My actual big flaw with the movie, funnily enough, is actually the party scene. I just don't care for the party scene. I think the high schoolers are just not really. They're just typical high schoolers. They're not very fleshed out, and they get up, they die. Some of them are just assholes. I don't really care for it. By that point in the movie, we're in the Michael mode. We're waiting for Michael to just Michael everywhere.
He's gonna swing his Michael everywhere.
He's gonna swing his Michael everywhere.
But I think it's an agreeable take, in my opinion. Although the world may not agree, I can't agree with you. It's just the high scores are fucking annoying.
I mean, they
So-
are high schoolers, so
Yeah.
Yeah, but not many of them, as many of them die as they should. So they
You
were
heard
just
it-
annoying for pointless. I don't know.
you hear
But-
here first. Jake is annoyed that more high schoolers didn't die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find your take agreeable. I just don't personally agree myself. So, Luke, your turn. Go kill him.
Okay, he said that the world does not agree with your take, and by that I am the world. So, anyways, um, I'm now realizing I'm actually the one that's the most staunch on this one, which I was not expecting. I thought I was going to have a more casual opinion on this one because I can say I know Halloween very well. Cullen and Jake are much bigger fans of Halloween than I am. I'm more closer to Dan's liking of it than Cullen and Jake. No, I'm a staunch believer in the original being the best. In fact, 2018 is debatably it's second place for me, but not by a lot. And so that's one thing right there. But I do really like this movie. I think it might have been my favorite back in 2018 and like 2019 just due to recency bias and it being the first big slasher movie I saw in a theater. Not the first horror movie, but the first like big slasher from like a established franchise that I
Or
got to see in
because
the
it's the
theater.
best one.
No, no, it is not. And so I will get into that now. We kind of lightly touched on some of my issues with it. Okay, first, let me make clear. I do really like this movie a lot. I like this movie a lot. It is one of the better slasher movies I've seen, and it's undeniably one of the best movies in the franchise. I am a humongous fan of Halloween 2018. It's an iconic horror movie of like Gen Z and high school. Like we all are going to talk about this movie forever. So I get that. It's not better than the fucking original. It's not. It's just not. So first off, a big factor that you guys are neglecting to mention is we're like, oh yeah, it's cool that these characters come back. There's not really a Loomis equivalent, and Loomis is amazing, and he's at his best in the original. And
Well,
that's
isn't
one.
Loomis like isn't the actor who played Loomis dead?
Yeah, but I'm just saying like that. I understand that they weren't forcing that again, but there are other Halloween movies that have Loomis that don't use him super well. So it is.
Oh,
So I'm just saying that the original does use him extremely well. And he's one of the best parts of the original movie. And 2018 doesn't have an equivalent. I'm not complaining that it doesn't have an equivalent. I'm saying this more as something in favor of the original. And another thing with the original is in some of the shots, the age of the original does help it with some shots. It kind of being a little bit of an older camera, a little bit more grainy, does help with like the lighting and the shadows in some way. I think they did a really good job portraying Michael as this like haunting, shadowy killer super well in both movies, but I give that one slightly more to the original. Um, Another knock I have against 2018 is it goes for being funny at times, and there are moments where the humor kills the tension or is just weird. For one thing, look, everyone's like, and you guys brought up like, oh, there 2018 is some really fleshed out characters, and I'm like, no, the dad of the girl is not fleshed out. This is Mister I got peanut butter on my penis.
I forgot about that.
Okay, who
Really?
doesn't love a dad who has peanut butter on their penis though?
But it was like,
This was already
okay,
done in the Rob Zombie movies. We're done with the penis jokes.
anyways, so there was that, but then there's like the moment where Michael's in the closet and like the babysitter, like
This
the
is
little
Pride
black.
Month. Nobody has to stay in the closet, by the way.
But there's this anyway. The black kid is all like, "Hey, there's a scary guy in my closet," and the girl, the babysitter, is all like, "Nah." And like the kid, because kids are usually more aware of things than adults are in horror movies, which is fine. But like, I'm just saying, like, so I can't remember the kid's name. That's something I wish because he was actually kind of funny. But the problem is they overdid it because when Michael comes out of the closet, the kid's then like, "Oh shit!" and then like and that just like destroyed that moment for me a bit. It gets recovered because the kill that Michael does is pretty good, but like that wasn't really necessary, and it was like jarring for that moment. And that's kind of like what my issue is with the movie,
His
is
name's
that
Julian.
Julian, yeah, okay, so Julian, like I like him, but like for that moment, he should have just been scared and left. Not,
He did.
I mean, he did, but like I don't know, man, come on. And so like you have
Oh,
that,
running.
no, and so you have that. And then, like, that's like my thing with the movie. There's just every now and then things that just kind of like, oh, that was weird. Why'd they do that? A few times. Again, great movie, great kills, great tension, great but it's not better than the original. The original is beautiful, like in its simplicity, and there's a reason that it like molded an entire subgenre. And so the 2018 is great, but it doesn't have that like, I don't know, that it doesn't have the weight that kind of the original did. And the original, it just has so many good moments. Like, I know the kills aren't quite there with the original. That's more so just its age than anything. But the original's so good in terms of like being classic, like Alfred Hitchcock style suspense. Like it's funny because even though it's set up a more modern horror subgenre that a lot of movies followed in the coattails of, it has classic horror and classic thriller in terms of the way that they structure things and the way that there's a lot of shots. Like when Laurie's in the stairwell in the original and like Michael just like materializes behind her out of the shadow. He didn't literally do that, but like that was really clever. It's just like, I don't know. I just, God, I'm just the original. I do definitely prefer it. It doesn't have a moment in me that makes me off put, like the peanut butter dick or the kid saying, or the kid in the with the closet killing the tension. And it's
Julian.
Julian. That's right. I'm sorry. And then especially the Dr. Sartain thing. I'm sorry. I like the movie a lot. I'd probably debate it on being the best if it was not for the Dr. Sartain thing. I think it's hammy. I think it's just completely out of left field, not in a good way out of left field. And it also like kind of like kills the pacing of the movie for a little bit until Michael literally has to wake us up again.
That's something that we all kind of maybe like agree on for a hot take is like I mean, there's some people out there who like do not like this like Halloween 2018 much at all. I mean, I know like, you know, we keep up with like other like horror content creators. You know, we watch like our Sean Chandler, our Cody Leach, and like Cody Leach, dude, having like 2018 as low as he does on his ranking. Like, I don't know if there's other people in the horror community who share that opinion with him, but like all of us having 2018 as high as we do, I think I don't know. I don't know if that's a hot take in itself, but it's just something
No,
to think about.
2018 is very well regarded on a lot of things. It is like critically, it's the second best movie by a lot. Like none of the other movies are close to the original in 2018 in terms of like reviews and stuff. I don't always trust that. Like I'm not some like big prolific movie studier. I'm just saying like just 2018 every now and then has some really like it's only a select few times, but it has like these off-putting things where I'm like, it would have been a little better if that hadn't happened. Like if that was cut. You know what I'm saying? And the
Mhm.
original Halloween doesn't have anything like that for me. And like it sets all the classic things we come to expect from slashers. I think that the reason I'm so passionate on this particular take, Cullen, is because of the fact that I am probably the slasher guy out of us four, because I directed each of you to that subgenre. So I get that people saying like, okay, you appreciate the original more than you enjoy it, but I enjoy the original more than I enjoy 2018.
Again, let me just make it clear. I love the original very much, and like they're very much neck and neck with me. And just because Luke's wrong doesn't mean that it devalues him less than any other, human being. But uh, but anyways,
History will be in my favor.
just because you have a degree in history doesn't mean shit here. But anyways, so we're gonna take a small break, and then we'll be back with my second hot take.
Hey, are you enjoying the podcast? If so, drop this podcast follow. For updates and announcements, check out our Instagram page at sit/HMP. Thanks for listening.
Okay, welcome back to the Sit and Slash Horror Movie Podcast, where we are taking on my hot takes to see if I get to live or die. So, if you didn't see the beginning of the episode, my first hot take was that 2018 Halloween is better than the original, and Daniel agreed with me. Jacob and Luke, well, Luke very vehemently did not agree with me. But for hot take number 2, I think this could definitely ruffle some feathers. I think Child's Play is the most overrated horror movie series of all time.
No.
Ah,
No.
oh,
Yeah,
I
Ah!
oh,
Yeah.
so here's the thing.
Oh.
Okay, so one, rest in peace to the actor who just passed away who played Chucky not too long ago. But with
The
all
doll, not Brad Dourif, not the voice of Chucky. The doll.
the
Please
doll,
mention that.
the doll.
Woo. Okay.
So here's my thing. Okay, I love psychological horror. I love grounded stories. There could be mystical elements, there can be paranormal stuff like that. But the Chucky movies, like, it's kind of what Luke mentioned with like the funny before. Like, it's not funny to me. It's not scary. Like, the dude's a foot and a half tall. You could stomp on him. And it's like, how is this little tiny doll so menacing to people? Like, and I remember as a kid, like, I remember I was scared of the Chucky doll. And then, like, I watched the movies and I'm like, oh, this is just like slapstick humor with like a shitty mini Michael Myers. Like, it's just, I
Ah.
think it's, I don't like it. I don't find it scary. I don't find Luke is literally taking off his headset.
I'm not the one here who's the most angry. I can say that. I'm not.
We'll go in order from least to most agreeing, or most to least agreeing. So Jake should go next because he agrees with
So
you.
yeah, I don't think it's scary at all. I think they're fine. Like, I think, like, if you want to watch something subpar horror, go ahead, watch it. But like, I think
Ah.
I think they're just fine. You know, like, if you need a chuckle from,
Ha. Chuckle. Ha.
Uh,
but go ahead,
so
Jake.
so I'm gonna be honest. I do think it's okay. I should put a little disclaimer here in that I've only seen three Child's Play movies, that being the first one, the second one, and the remake. And I mean, mostly it's just not for me. But like, there are just some things that I kind of agree with Colin on here, and that um, it's mostly more humor based. If you're more going for like a humor based type of horror, like for the perfect example I can think of is if you're looking for something kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where it's like both humor and horror, and like you're trying to get a chuckle out of it, then that series is definitely more so gonna be something I would recommend. But for the most part, I mean, like, I remember distinctly watching the first film. It was in one of the first couple kills, I think, where Chucky like friggin' Kobe's this woman outside of a building,
Uh,
and I know the doll has supernatural strength because technically, you know, it has the strength of a full-grown man, something something voodoo voodoo. But like, I just sat there, paused the movie, trying to like compute how a friggin' doll could straight up pull like that wrestling move, take her through a window, smash the window, and just fall down, and then also survive. I might be misremembering that scene though, because I haven't seen that in years. But like, I think it kind of sets up like the main point of why I don't like the franchise. It just there are just some things that kind of like, I know you're supposed to turn your brain off watching these movies,
You have
and
a
there are
better
some
time
funny
as a kid.
moments. There's there's plenty of funny to be found in these movies, but the funny just doesn't tickle me, and the weird just kind of has me sitting there like, oh, okay. And I think actually my brother, I have a brother, he's not big into horror, but he actually pretty much summed up my feelings perfectly. He said, "You're not going in to watch a good horror movie. You're going in to watch a funny horror movie, essentially." And I think that's why some feathers may be ruffed here, because there are some very big funniers in this crowd who like the funny, but I mean, like, And also Brad Dourif fucking rocks. I will also say
There we
Brad
go.
Dourif rocks.
I do find it
And all
funny that you said ruffed, feathers ruffed when the past tense is ruffled. That's
Rough.
just besides the
well,
point.
excuse me. I'm not familiar with these words because I'm not a fucking bird. But anyways, I will
Fair.
say both Brad
Been
Dourif and Mark
backed up of a
Hamill
bird.
both do incredible jobs as Chucky. I love both of their performances, honestly. But it's just like the movie plot itself, just it's just not up there. It's just not one of the major. I would say Phantasm is a better franchise than like Child's Play,
Okay.
and I think Phantasm should be more popular than Child's Play, in my opinion. That's well, there's a take I can't use now. I just realized, but yeah, that's my defense. Is that it's just the humor. It relies on humor, and humor isn't for everybody.
All right. Well, it is for me. And so anyway, um I am a decent fan of this series. I'm not like a passionate I've loved Chucky since I was little. This is actually a franchise I got into later. And so more recent, I think I watched through all these like 4 or 5 years ago is when I went through the whole series. And I actually do decently like um I do decently like these movies, especially the first two. I'm a pretty big fan of the first two. The first one, they didn't quite know what they had yet in terms of like the formula with Chucky, because it's more so Charles Lee Ray like kind of figuring out like what to do, and then like he's really Chucky by the end of it. Whereas I will say this, Child's Play 2 is actually a horror movie I really like, and I am happy to rewatch that movie anytime. The horror I think is good. It's pretty standard 80s slasher stuff. I can always jive with that. The humor works for me a lot. Not every time. I will say I will give an example of where it does not. So, but like Child's Play 2 I think is the perfect balance, because you have some kills that are actually pretty gnarly. I think that the final third, especially the part where they get to the toy factory, is actually a really good like final chase. Like I could say that's actually up there for me in terms of like some of my favorite like end sequences and slashers. I like the way that Chucky dies in the first one and the second one. Um, there's just so many. The series, I think, hit that balance early when it came to the funny. I think that it did pretty good in the first one. Like when she's like checking the doll and like the mom's like going crazy, and then he just like suddenly freaks out, and her arms is just like, "You stupid bitch!" and just like freaks out. It's so funny. I laughed so hard. I was just like, "Yeah!" I was just like, "There he is." And so they're entertaining, man. I mean, you got this little like this gremlin of mischief, of evil, just like going around, and like I mean he's trying to like basically kill this kid. He's trying to like replace his soul. I'm like, okay, that's pretty evil. Let's stop the evil. And then there's like in two, it's the same thing. It's continued except better. And that has one of my favorite moments in terms of humor in any horror movie, when right at the end, like he realizes it's too late for him to go into the kid's body, and then he hears a rustle and just the "what the hell" and all the boxes fall on him. It's perfect. It's so funny. It's so entertaining. And the thing is, a lot of these movies, I think, actually do keep that up. Not perfectly though, because I will say Child's Play 3, it has some decent one-liners and such, but that movie's kind of boring to me. I don't think Child's Play 3 is that good. Bride of Chucky, I think, that movie's actually pretty iconic on its own right. And that gave the franchise a lot more of a lifespan that it probably deserved to have. But Bride of Chucky's all right. I will admit, Seed of Chucky is an absolute abomination. That movie is
Yeah.
horrible. That movie is absolutely crap. That movie, they pushed the humor too far. Like, they overdosed on it. I think they already had a perfect balance, which is why Seed of Chucky is abhorrent, because they already had that good balance of horror comedy with like the first two just on the nature of what it is. Like, yeah, it is an entertaining horror movie. And like those movies just were what they were. So when they tried to like really push the humor, they didn't need to because it was already there. That's why Seed of Chucky was so bad. And then interestingly, I don't know if you guys have seen Cullen, I don't think you've seen them. Jake, I know you haven't. But like the series went to straight to video in the 2010s, like kind of like the Hellraiser route where most of the movies were direct to video. They released 2 direct to video Child's Play movies. In 2013, there was one called Curse of Chucky. That movie is really good out of nowhere. Like, I don't know why. Like, because the movie before it is Seed of Chucky, which is absolutely horrible.
I think your first mistake was trusting a movie named Seed.
Yeah.
I guess. But then after that, you have Cult of Chucky, which I personally don't like. So Curse of Chucky, that one like kind of brought back that balance I was talking about with the first two, balancing horror comedy pretty well. So I think that as a horror franchise, overall, it has its ups and it has its downs, just like most other slasher franchises. I would say that it's more top heavy, just like comparatively, than like probably Halloween. It's more top heavy than Halloween.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So there you go. I think that as a whole, Chucky has the better franchise than Michael. But I think that it's by movie basis. You know what I mean? And like Child's Play, it doesn't have multiple timelines. Like it's pretty straightforward, aside from the Mark Hamill movie, the 2019 remake. But no, I think it's actually a pretty solid series, and that's why I don't think that I do not think it's overrated personally. I think it's very fairly rated.
Dan just sat up in his chair. I think he's very ready to
No, I just like I was like leaning like this the whole time, and that just but yeah. So I am an enjoyer of this franchise. I've liked the Child's Play movies for a while. I don't know if they're not okay. I will say it's not like one of my like absolute favorite franchises. Like I like it's like my Nightmare on Elm Street's probably my favorite, but I do really enjoy these movies. I think that they're fun. I think that I don't really go to them to get scared. I just kind of go to them for like
I think that's what they call a horror movie.
yes, but like you got to admit a lot of slasher movies aren't that scary, really. I mean, they have their moments and stuff, but like I don't know, and even Child's Play has their moments. Like those movies, they do have their moments where I think that they're scary. I think that's more of a franchise where I can sit there, look at the fun kills and the funny quips by Chucky, and just kind of like I don't know, just enjoy it. I enjoy the humor in some of the movies, the good ones. Um, I think the first 2 movies are fantastic, both of them. I think that I actually for a while, I think I preferred the first one for a while. But the second one, it's definitely my favorite now. They they had magic there that it worked very off and on. They had something that would work and then they would try something new with it and it wouldn't work anymore because you have like the first 2 movies are amazing and then they messed it up with the third one. The third one it's not horrible, but I don't care for it that much. And so that one was a bad direction to go. And so they're like, all right, we got to figure out something new. And then they made Bride of Chucky. I love Bride of Chucky as well. I think that movie is like, I think it's kind of underrated. Like, I think there's people who don't like it that much. The fans of the franchise, I think overall like it though.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely got high acclaim by the dedicated fans.
I do like that movie quite a bit. The human plot, don't really care about. The doll plot is fantastic. Introducing Tiffany as like a character was just such a good direction to take the story, and I do enjoy that movie quite a bit. But then they messed it up with Seed of Chucky. That movie is bad, very bad. The humor in Bride of Chucky was fantastic. I actually think the humor in Bride of Chucky might be my favorite humor of the franchise. And then Seed it goes from like Bride, it goes from actual good jokes to just Seed of Chucky, little British girl. You're pissing your pants. You're pissing your pants. It's like
Yeah,
I don't want. I don't want to hear that. I'm good. Like that was like towards the beginning of the movie too. I was like, I really am not here for this.
The question is do you prefer pissing your pants or peanut butter on penis?
Peanut butter on penis, dude. That was a funnier delivery for sure. That the you're pissing your pants, little British girl. No, that annoyed the shit out of me, and I was like instantly, no, I'm
One
not gonna
is
like this
British
movie.
and one isn't.
It's like what?
What the fuck? What?
That is correct. One is British and one isn't. Good. Thank
Yeah,
you,
that's
Jake.
fair. But yeah, I think that they really messed it up with Seed, and then they took a bit of a break for I don't know when Seed came out actually. I think it was the 2000s. I just can't remember when.
They
And
took like a whole 10-year break.
yeah,
It was
and
gone.
then they made Curse of Chucky, which is an amazing movie, and it breathed new life like new life into the franchise, which needed it after Seed. See, I thought Seed would have killed it honestly, but that movie really was a fresh start, and then Cult was I didn't hate Cult. I thought it was fine, and I thought it was okay, and then it started, and then it's that kind of put it down the wrong path though. I watched a bit of the show. I know the show came out after, and it's since been canceled. I believe they made 3 seasons and then
Yeah.
canceled it. I watched the first season, I believe the whole way through, and I actually enjoyed the first season. I thought it was solid. What I have heard about the second and third seasons though is that it just gets worse and worse. So it's like they can't maintain a good thing for too long. They go good to bad, good to bad, good to bad, good to bad, like 4 times in a row. So though I don't I don't think it's the most consistently good franchise. I think like Luke said, it has its highs, it has its lows. I particularly really enjoy their highs. I would rather watch something that's goofy and also somewhat scary like that rather than something that's just boring and scary to me. So I'm a very big enjoyer of that franchise just as a whole. Because even like Seed of Chucky and like Child's Play 3, they're bad, don't get me wrong. There are definitely worse movies out there though. So
Seed pushes
I'd
it. I'll
say
be real.
so.
Seed is
Dude,
that
there are
normally
like
would be hard to top in being bad. Seed is
dude,
horrible.
there are three Halloween movies probably that are worse than Seed of Chucky.
Fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Two at least, if not
Yeah,
three.
you're right. You're right.
So there's at least 2 to 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies that are worse than Seed. There's yes,
One.
dude.
I'd say one.
No.
Yeah, we're not here
Whatever.
to discuss
Yeah,
that.
you're
We're not
right.
here to discuss that.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I have to say about Child's Play. I am a big fan of that franchise though.
All right.
So-
So
Me and Dan dissent from Cullen's opinion.
Yeah.
therefore I am outclassed. It's still a tie because I got one person to get with me on the first take and I got one person on me on the second take. So far I'm surviving this. Before we get to the last take, we're going to take one last break, and we'll see. This is the hottest take that I have today. Let's see if it will, as Jake put it, ruffed some feathers. And we'll be right back.
Hey, are you enjoying the podcast? If so, drop this podcast a follow. For updates and announcements, check out our Instagram page at sit/HMP. Thanks for listening.
All right, welcome back to the podcast where we are discussing my hot takes, and we have a tie game right now. I've had one person agree with me on each of my takes, so right now I'm still surviving, barely keeping my head above water, but I do think this one might shake the entire foundation right off of its hinges. My final take for this episode is I think sci-fi horror is not scary at all.
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
I don't think Alien is scary. I don't think uh anything Alien really. I'm not really that big into it. I just think like I said, I prefer the down to earth, no pun intended, movies. Like I don't like I really think of what's that one? Is it like 113 Cloverfield Lane or whatever?
It's 10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane, when they're like trapped in the house and like oh, it's this crazy guy, and all of a sudden you go out and he's actually telling the truth. Oh my god, there's space aliens. And I'm like, oh, okay. Gross. Or like one movie I was really excited for a couple years ago was Knock on the Cabin Door by M. Night Shyamalan. And it was like about the whole like, oh, these guys need to be killed or the world will end. And I just thought, oh, it's a crazy cult like movie. Nope, turned out he was telling the truth and shit was just falling out of the sky. The only, and I mean the only sci-fi ish horror movie that I like is A Quiet Place, and that is the only one. And
That's
even that
pushing
one,
it.
it is pushing it, and I don't like. It doesn't really feel sci-fi to me. It just feels like, oh, these demons that can hear. Like, yeah, they're aliens. We get that, but like that is the only one that I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a decent movie. But the rest, I'm just like absolute snooze fest. Like, oh, here's this laser gun. Like, I don't know. It's just or Jason X. That's the only. That's the
Oh my
only other
God.
Oh
sci-fi.
my
Okay, but
God,
we
this-
don't. Okay,
Oh,
here's the
man.
thing. I don't think you enjoy Jason X because it is scary. Although it does have some moments where it can be pretty damn spooky. Jason X is not a scary movie. Jason X is you get like 5 different friends together. Maybe some of them are drunk. You sit down and you have a good time.
But this is also the guy that was just like, child's play is overrated, and then which is supposed to be the same kind of thing. Ah,
Jason X
Okay.
has machine gun boobs.
I love Jason X, dude.
Okay, so I'll kind of start here, I guess. Again, I think it depends on the movie. I think the sci-fi elements can kind of overload or be used incorrectly. There are some sci-fi movies, like I'll actually give you a perfect example. The movie Prometheus. It has some scary moments, but overall, there are definitely some stupid moments in it. There are definitely some moments where the crew member do not use their human ability to think and plan and assess risk correctly and therefore die, and we're just sad because they're stupid. Um, but at the same time, it can be used incredibly well. I think that the prospect of an unfamiliar location set in space where no one can hear you scream, or a ship that is isolated from everywhere else, thematically just works. Hence, I think why Alien, the original movie, Alien, setting this crew up against a predator that is far beyond anything that humanity has ever griped with, is an excellent movie. I think it's incredible. So, I kind of see where you're coming from. But just saying it, movies like Alien are just not scary at all. I mean, imagine yourself in that position that you're in this space, you're in this giant hunk of just metal with this thing that's out to kill you. You don't know where it is. You don't know how it even works. You don't know why it's out to kill you. But you just have to survive. I don't know. I just think that maybe you should give it another shot. I would try to give it another shot. I think that just saying outright being dismissive of it is wrong. And I disagree.
Okay, we got one disagree. Here's the thing, though.
Uh,
I hear your argument. I do. My thing is like one, I can't put myself in that position because I'd never put myself in that position of going into space. Being in space in general is more scary than just being in that movie.
it's scary. Ha!
However, I just think it's like, oh, it's hard for me to get lost in it. Like, it's hard for me to be like, okay, I can actually like have a nightmare about this because this is something that could actually happen. Like a serial killer chasing you with a knife, that's scary to me. Even the paranormal stuff, I love paranormal horror because like there's like, oh, is this real? Is this not real? Kind of thing. So I don't know.
I would like to present a counterpoint with that. There's
Oh,
a
boy.
movie. There's a movie called Event Horizon.
No, I was good. Okay.
Can we let Jake? Can we let Dan segue into that
All
a
right,
little?
all right, Dan, kill him
I love
in Minecraft.
I love Event Horizon. I was gonna bring that movie up. That movie was fantastic. I don't remember who was all there when because we all watched it together. I think.
I didn't
or at
watch
least,
it.
Oh, you should have been there. It was
Well,
good.
there goes the point.
Whatever. But I mean, okay, I will say this. I understand what you mean when you say like, oh, I could never see myself in this position. So it's like, it's not as scary to me. I do understand that to an extent. However, if they do a really good job at the world building of said environment, I think it's just as scary of a movie as like a normal like slasher movie. Like I'm a big fan of like I've seen I think I'm the only one here who has seen all of the Alien and Predator movies. Um and they have their duds, don't get me wrong, but I love those franchise technically if you consider them the same one. Um I'm a big fan of the Alien movies, some of them. Let me emphasize some of them. Um and I think that if a movie does it right, space can work well because like especially with people who may be like claustrophobic maybe like I'm somewhat claustrophobic and feeling alone like Jake said earlier where like in space no one can hear you scream that type thing. I do like that concept of feeling alone and trapped up there where it's like you're not on Earth where you can like hide or like or somehow get away a car or whatever. You are stuck in like a spacecraft normally, where
Well,
there is
have
nothing you
space
can
cars
do.
then.
Well, okay, can you name me like what sci-fi movie has space cars?
Star Wars.
That's not a horror movie. I meant horror movie. God damn
It's
it.
a
Dan, you just
Star.
took a little bit of an L on that one, Dan.
Okay, yeah, sure. But I will say though, there are some of the sci-fi movies like that are not as good. Like that trope of like horror movie franchises going to space is so stupid. I mean,
Except Jason
Friday the
X.
13th. I was gonna say Friday the 13th. Did
well,
it well.
I
Jason X is bored, but the rest suck.
well, I actually think there's another decent one, but
That's for another
I
time.
that's for another time. But like Leprechaun goes to space, like what the hell? Like those are stupid. I will agree on that, but
So I'm
um
hearing is you agree with me. Okay, I've won. I get to
no, I
survive.
don't agree with you because I think that there are movies that pull it off really well, like Alien, like Event Horizon, and even like the ones where the aliens like come to Earth. Like you have Signs. That movie is very interesting. There's like the Cloverfield movies are all good. Even like A
No,
Quiet.
they are not.
What do you mean?
The Cloverfield Lane. That's what I'm talking about.
That movie was great.
It was good, and then it just face.
Mm,
Look, it
I
was stupid. Like I
I
thought, like
think I have not seen the Cloverfield Paradox because that came out more recently and I just haven't seen it yet. But the like 10 Cloverfield Lane and what's the original one called?
Cloverfield.
Just Cloverfield? Okay. I couldn't remember if there was a special name for it. I like those movies quite a bit.
I don't
Uh,
think the original Cloverfield is even so much a sci-fi movie as it is like it's a found footage kaiju kind of movie.
That's exactly what it is. It's found footage kaiju. Yeah, we're getting. I was gonna say, man, Cullen. That's all.
man, Colin, that's it.
I will
Um
say another thing is that something that works. You said like, okay, but you could use space cars to get away from that or stuff. By that same logic, paranormal movies aren't scary because you could just walk outside the house.
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
they
that's a really good
possess
point.
somebody, but if they possess somebody,
What
leave the
if?
person behind.
What if alien impregnates someone and a face hugger? Like like it's
that's
like.
what we call consent being sexy.
Oh
Listen,
my god.
listen. Okay, I must speak. It's. I was just say Jake and Dan outlined this pretty well, especially with like the isolation and the world building. And I'm going to pivot off of that a little.
It's not
Something that
world, it's space.
I'm going to kill you.
That's it. He dies. The end.
What I'm going to say is something else that I like that some sci-fi horror has as well is the sense of inhumanity because like as people You know how like we like to understand things as best we can. That's kind of just goes for everybody. Well, sci-fi is one of the horrors that is really able to tread on the primal fear of the unknown and the fear of like what's incomprehensible and stuff. Now, when you have more simple ones like Alien, like yeah, we comprehend it. It's this like killing machine with like this tail and it has like two jaws and like its reproduction process is weird and horrifying. But like the idea that there's nothing there at all that can be related to whatsoever, I think that is actually something that can be scary in its own right. Because then at that point, it's more of like a force that you're dealing with, not even as much antagonist, just like a straight up just evil force. And so I kind of like that about sci-fi horror. I think that just like it has the capabilities to do like yeah, it's weird, but that weird can be good because I know you said you like kind of like your more grounded horrors, but things that like we don't understand is a fear that is very common, and they kind of exacerbate that. They make it bigger, a little bit more in your face, but like I don't know. I think that they really can pull it off well. There's definitely sci-fi horror that can be cheesy, but I think that like the first couple Aliens are a great example of that. Predator 1 in terms of sci-fi horror, Phantasm in terms of sci-fi horror. Phantasm
Yes.
has some sci-fi.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Cullen, what do you like classify as sci-fi? Just anything space related, or can it be
I'd
like
say like mainly space related things. I guess like if you count Phantasm, I
because
am a fan of the Phantasm movies, but like because like Phantasm's like a weird amalgamation of like sci-fi and paranormal.
well, I'll
Yeah.
I'll raise you this though. So one movie that hasn't been talked about yet with sci-fi that I think needs to be mentioned is The Thing. Isn't The Thing considered sci-fi?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's an alien.
So that's an incredible movie. Cullen, do you not like The Thing?
I've never seen the thing.
Ah! Well,
Oh,
That would explain the
I would
take.
explain it. That's the best. That's arguably that's no. I take it back. That is the best sci-fi movie in my opinion. I love that movie.
I guess
Oh, it looks like
I'll have to watch it and then go from there.
yep,
Mhm.
Colin, I'm gonna loan you a CD. You're gonna see it, and you're gonna be so flabbergasted at your
I
wrongness.
Jake, I thought you were gonna say I'm gonna loan you a CD and you're gonna see.
CD.
We're back
Uh,
to peanut butter on the penis. Okay.
no.
No.
God
Stop
damn
with
it.
Me
the
and Dan were in sync
penis.
right there. Me and Dan were
What?
completely in sync right there. That was good.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, I have survived.
No. None of us
No.
agree with none of us agree with you
This
on
one
that one.
this one definitely sunk you, dude.
I was willing to support you with the first two, but you have lost me with the last one, and I am not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of the Sit and Slash Horror Movie Podcast, where we've gone through some of my hot takes. Do you have any hot takes with horror? Feel free to put them in any comment section that's available to you right now, whether that our Instagram page again at sit slash sit slash s I can't speak
That's
sit
because your takes are wrong.
slash HMP or our YouTube channel at sit slash horror movie podcast. Thank you again for watching. We will see all of you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.